Okay.
I'll be well behaved now.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully everybody is having a very wonderful Tuesday. While we get everybody filtering in, I would just love to know where everybody's from. So if you want to pop in the chat whereabouts you're from, and of course, if it's sunny or not there today. We are overcast here today, so I think I'm going to have a little bit of envy for everybody who has sunny days. So that would be great. Raining in North Carolina, sunny and flipping cold in Calgary. Good thing for your language there, EJ. Yeah, Alberta, sunny and cold. Yeah, but you know what? I don't feel so bad for you guys in Alberta because when you guys get the Chinooks through, it's always really cold here. And then I see pictures of you guys in shorts in, January and February. And yeah, lots of envy there, let me tell you. So we've got Phoenix, Arizona, sun and clouds, Sterling, Ontario, cloudy, London, Ontario, rainy, reducing the snow piles. I agree with you, Lori. Same thing here. It was kind of rainy yesterday, but I'm like, look, the snow's going away. Yeah, so warm and raining in Memphis, rainy in Aurelia, always sunny in Arizona. Okay, Dan, I'm coming to Arizona then. Good thing about what we do now is we get to work remotely, right? So let's go to Arizona. So yeah, so there's lots of people, Quebec and cold, Caledonia, Ontario and rainy. So yeah, so that's awesome. I'm glad we've got so many people here. Hopefully everybody is really excited to get started. So
I'm going to throw something at you.
Go ahead.
My neighbor cut his grass on Saturday.
Okay, you just need to stop out there. You
West
Coast
today.
Is the best coast, people.
It is. It is. We go straight from snow to green grass and cutting it in a couple of days.
Yeah. That's okay. You're going to regret saying that when I end up just showing up on your doorstep saying, hey, I'm moving in. You'll be like, no, get away. Anyway, just kidding.
I got a backstory. I saw somebody else. Tiffany is also on Vancouver Island. I wonder whereabouts.
Tiffany G. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let me do a screen share.
Me too. Sorry, I'm just looking at Comox Valley. Me too.
You guys are practically neighbors.
We are.
Awesome. Okay. So we'll get started here. Hopefully everybody is really excited. If you haven't popped into Auto Review today, don't do it yet because we've got some new stuff that literally has launched today that we're going to show you. And the problem is now that I've said that, I don't want you to go in and actually miss what we're saying. So because there's important stuff we have to talk about today. So we're going to do
Christmas too. Like, do you tell people Christmas presents ahead of time and your family open them? Like, come on, like you just, how can people not go and open and now look at what's happening there?
They're going to see in the next slide, they're going to start to see stuff. So they're going to start looking at it anyway. So yes, hello. So hopefully, can you guys see my screen? I did share the right screen, correct? Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So hello, I'm Tanya Hilt, CPB. Most of you know me. And that's awesome. Anybody new? Hello. Nice to virtually meet you. One of these days we'll connect if we're at conferences when the world opens up. Please come up and introduce yourself. So I'm here because I'm passionate about clean files. I love Auto Review. I don't think that's any secret. They are, and this is why Sherry is asked to be part of this, Sherry Lee Mathers, because she loves Auto Review as well too, and absolutely amazing. And we're going to give you lots of secrets and tips today and stuff. You can find me at Tanya's Bootcamp on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. A little bit about me. So I received my accredited Impactful Advisor designation in 2021, a level 5 certified advisor through Mentor Plus under the tutelage of Jeannie Whitehouse, Insightful Accountants Top 100 Pro Advisor for 2018 through 2021, and the Top Canadian Pro Advisor for 2020, the Intuit, the last and reigning Intuit Global Firm of the Future for 2018. I guess I broke the contest. Volunteer mentor through Futurepreneur Canada and Women in Accounting, a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, a director at CPB Canada, and the founder of Cloud Business Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. And yes, I am a very, very busy person, and that just exhausted me saying that, let alone doing it. So that's great. So we have with us two special guests, one of which is Sherry Lee Mathers, the founder of Balsam Way. Sherry Lee is a craft brewery and winery specialist. She was awarded the CPB Canada 2021 Professional Leader of the Year. She was Insightful Accountant's Top 100 Pro Advisor for 2018 through 2021, a level 5 certified advisor through Mentor Plus, earning her accredited impactful advisor designation as well, a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, and she works with select apps in development, which is another reason why she loves Autoreview so much. And so do I. We get to work with Hardik in the back end. So a lot of the wish list, comes from us, but yeah, you guys, they listen well, and we're going to ask you guys what your year-end wish list is a little later as well too. So was there anything, Sherry Lee, that I missed that you wanted to point out? Nothing. All right, perfect. Let's move on to our next guest, Hardik Mehta, who's the co-founder of Zenit. Hardik has 12 plus years of experience working as an accountant, working in different industries. The co-founder of Zenit and started the journey in July 2020 with Autoreview. And I think that's right when you and I connected. It was shortly after that, if not right in July or August. And so I've been in love with Autoreview ever since. And Hardik has recently been named one of the top 20 under 40 accounting influencers for 2021 for CPA Practice Advisor. And that's awesome. So congratulations on that. And works in different geographies. So the US, Canada, Australia, UK, and New Zealand. So was there anything else that you wanted to add to that, Hardik?
You covered everything. It's just that I have just won 1 award, except for the fact that you guys have so many awards. So
awesome. No, and that's a great honor. The top 20 under 40. That's an amazing honor. And you know what? I definitely understand why they would have done that. You have thrown yourself into this. And one thing just to bring up, that Autoreview was created because you had a problem and you recognize that as from an accounting, an accountant. And that is very unique, because some people come up with what they think is a problem, so they create an app, but you actually had this problem and it was your pain point. And so it's created out of the love from that.
Best apps come from solving your own pain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you for that. And yeah, absolutely amazing. So for accounting professionals, there are 3 words in the English language that induce headaches. I would love for you guys, we're going to do a poll in a moment, put in the chat what you think those 3 words are. And then we're going to do a poll right now. There are polls as will qualify for CPD credits. And you must answer at least 2 of the 4 polls. I'm trying to remember. I was going to say 3 of the 5, but I think there's 4. 2 of the 4 polls in order to qualify. So again, write in the chat what you think those words are. Sherry, if you want to, you can chat with people in the chat.
I am laughing at some of the ones, because they all, I think there's more than, I think the catch up file, do my own, wife does it. Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Oh, you know what? And I can't say that I disagree with any of these.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So keep thinking, put them in. I will let you know if you guys are right or not once we have everybody in here. So we've got.
My friend said that would be a good one too.
My friend said, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that actually, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that induces anxiety more than just headaches. Yeah. So again, if you're listening, not paying attention, first poll, you must answer at least 2 of the polls to qualify for your CPB or your CPD. And it's just, do you currently use Autoreview in your clients? There is no right or wrong answer. So yes on a few, yes on half, yes on almost all, yes on every single one. And I can't live without it. That is me. And not at this time. And that's okay if it's not at this time. hopefully we're going to be able to let you know why you have to use it. There is going to be some key takeaways that you'll be able to hopefully take away from, even if you're using with some clients on a software that Autoreview currently doesn't support. But that question comes later. So that way, Hardik can take back to the team what the demographics are and continue to improve the product as they're doing. So we're going to end the poll right now. I'm going to count down from 5. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So many good ones. I think there's more than just the 3.
So we're going to share the results here. So there we are. So 22% on a few, 8% is yes on half or less, 19% almost all, 16% on every single one and they can't live without it, and 35% not at this time.
Not at this time. Why? They
Well,
will.
that's why they're here to see, or
Absolutely.
it could exactly. So Sherry and Hardik, what do you guys think? Before I come up with this, what are your three words that induce headaches from you guys?
I think I do it myself.
Yeah, that's a bad
the
one.
biggest one.
Yep. Hardik, what do you think?
Yeah, you've done it. You've handled it.
Amy, it's not that hard.
That's 4 words, Amy.
Yeah. Well, we've stumped Hardik. For those who Hardik didn't know we were doing this. So
yeah.
Like some of the common words that I found was that my accountant screwed up. Can you help me? Kind of. It's my previous accountant screwed up. Can you help me? And then
Can you help?
we will go.
Yeah.
So that's one of the common thing. I mean, especially as dealing with the new clients, I used to hear this quite often.
Right. Yeah. And that's common. And you know what? Nobody has got the answer yet. I was surprised. And I actually did Google this to find this out. And that's where I get some of these year-end close. But that's what we're here to talk about today, to get rid of that headache. And I have to say that I loved, I saw Hardik actually shared out yesterday, 12-month review in 12 minutes or less. I am actually going to, later on this week or this weekend, because this week's kind of busy, I'm actually going to record my screenshot while I go in and do a year end. And I'm going to then speed it up and put that out. And let's try to make that viral to see how quickly I can go through. Again, I'll speed it up so that you guys can watch in a minute, me going through, but let's try to make that viral. And let's see if we can do a year-end close, 12 months in 12 minutes. And guess what? That year-end close will never give you a headache again. Unless the clients are doing it themselves, but this is still a very easy way to be able to do that. So I'm really, really happy to be sharing stuff with you today on this. So
where was that shared? Where was that shared? LinkedIn?
Where was that shared?
Hardik, where did you share that?
Yeah, I saw it on LinkedIn,
Gotcha.
but he didn't do the video. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the 12 minutes. And this was just launched today. So we just saw some of these features yesterday. So it's still really new and exciting to me as well. But
I definitely oohed and awed.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to go through and kind of just do a summarize of my year-end process. And then I'm going to ask Sherry to do the same so that you guys kind of know what's part of our year-end process is. So I make sure that, of course, that the trial balance matches the prior year. Is the file locked? I like to take advantage and do a cleanup. I look at year end as a spring cleaning opportunity. Let's clean up the unused client list, your customers, suppliers, and your chart of accounts. Let's get everything cleaned up. And that used to be so difficult to go through because you've got to go in. How do you figure out using Receipt Bank or HubDoc or Auto Entry, QBO and Xero or QB Desktop? How do you go in without going into every single one and see when the last time something is used? Well, for those 35% that haven't used Autoreview, it's so easy in here. I then go through and explain the year-over-year variances and pull together the supporting documents. So Sherry, what's a quick summary of your year-end process?
I'm going to say ditto to a whole lot of that, but what I also do is, of course, we're checking our retained earnings, our trial balance to the prior year. I also look at the journal entries. So I want to see if there's maybe a mistake that was made in the prior year that I can rectify and make sure I don't have it happening again.
And you know what? I love that. And I'll show you why in a moment. Hardik, do you have anything that you wanted to add to that? Something that might be a little unique for your year-end process other than the auto review magic?
No, I mean, one of the other thing is that the schedules also, like at the time of the year end, because when we submit the year end to the CPA, they often ask what this balance is for. So we also
Right.
create a kind of schedules with all the balance sheet accounts, and then we give them a full package. So
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. And there's a lot, again, these are just summaries. I shared my year-end process yesterday with somebody and they looked, and of course it's a full working paper, and there's about 100 different steps. So again, these are summaries, and I do actually have something that you can take away. There's 2 slides which do have the best practices in them, so that if you're not, you can compare that to what you're using, because again, I want you to be able to walk away with value and learning something from this as well too. So what you said, Sherry Lee, I love, because I actually love this quote that I found that was by Hal Borland, who's an American author and journalist. And he said, year's end is neither an end nor a beginning, but a going on with all the wisdom that experience can instill in us. And that's what you do with actually checking the year-end journal entries and seeing what can I learn from that so that I can make the file cleaner going forward. Like I've not actually really thought of doing that before. So that's really, of course, I know you're a smart woman, but yeah.
Well, you know what, when I worked at the accounting firm, that was actually part of the process of intaking the file, was of course double checking the retained earnings, checking the file, making sure everything balances to the prior year, making sure, and then it was looking at the journal entries to, do you have to make these again? So that was just sort of the, oh, okay, well, if this is something that we have to do every year,
Yep.
you know, you make sure you don't miss it.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So drum roll, we have the update. So we've got screen share. So again, if you guys are looking into there, you're going to miss some of the information here. I promise as soon as we're done, you guys can go in and just lose yourself in there. But so what we've got is the updates that can increase our year-end processes, increase the efficiency is, and first off, an improvement in the global search. So you can, look through, based on the, I guess, your receipt bank number, the receipt number, something like that. So again, if you're looking for some source documents to try to pull out, you can't find it. Maybe it's not attached to the right one. You can't find it in QBO or there, you might be able to try here. And again, I think auto review, for those of you who don't know, auto review and Hardik's vision is to try to keep you within here to do everything. So you don't have to spend time jumping back and forth between, your different software files. So it's to be able to do in here. So that's part of the global search update.
It's really important because of how, especially for those of us in QBO, how the dates and everything has changed, how it's been restricted. So I was searching at amounts this morning and I'm like, I just made those journal entries. How can they not be showing up? And I realized that it was automatically setting it from 2021. So it was only pulling the last 365 days. So it's just easier to search within auto review versus within, QuickBooks, because we're getting, right back to the beginning of the year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I just want to pause for a moment. Dan, can we get a copy of this meeting? So it is recorded. It will go out within 48 hours. If there's any questions, if you could just pop them into the Q&A, so that way we can go back and grab that would be appreciated. We'll do the best that we can. But if there's a lot of people typing, sometimes your questions can get lost in the chat. I know Hardik usually watches the chat. Sherry Lee is going to be watching the chat as well. But anything, please throw it in the Q&A so that we make sure that we don't miss it. Admin roles. I love this. This is just such a simple little thing, but now you can go in and you just assign your team member an admin role, which will give them access to all the client files. So the way that we work here, I don't have just one lead, a lead, and you only have access to the files that you work on. all of our teams have access to everything. So this is awesome for me because I don't have to remember, because I couldn't tell you how many times I connect a file, I add it to Autoreview, and then I get an email or a call or a text from one of the girls saying, well, I thought you added it. They're not in the list. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot to go in and do that. So this is something really simple and easy, but huge. And then we move on to the next one, currency column and the duplicate names.
Love it, love it. This was my request.
And this is awesome because how many times, and I have just changed my file over to multi-currency in QBO, and I find this when I was not a multi-currency, I used to be able to put in the name, and if I'm paying for it from my Canadian credit card, I used to be able to put the name, and I used to be able to just put, it was USD currency, fix the amount, and it would go through. Now, if I do that, it goes through as a as a US client, even though I'm not paying them in US currency. So I have to do that, but I don't catch that. So this is a great way to be able to catch that. Here's all the duplicates. Do we really need them in both currencies? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And I'm sure, even though we have that more in Canada, I'm sure you guys in the US feel that as well too, or, even elsewhere for the currency. So that's awesome. Thank you.
This was really big for me in my multi-currency file because I have a couple of clients that do a lot of traveling. And so they have US credit cards. So I really needed, all of a sudden I look and I've got 3 different Starbucks. They travel, it's in the airport, right? So being able to see very quickly, that's where it was, oh, I've got 2 of these. I'm like, yeah, but wait, is this Canadian or US? I can't tell.
Yep.
So that was actually one of my requests. I'm sure I wasn't the only one who requested it, but yeah.
If you feel the pain, other people have felt the pain. It's just whether they requested it or not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This I love, the transaction counts summary. So this, you can see everything on one screen, and I will pop in when we actually dig in. I'll pop in and show you that. But yes, you can see everything on the one screen. Just up top, you click this. Again, you can collapse all, and it'll show you how many transactions have been processed for the month in the row. And when we did speak to Colin or to Hardik yesterday on a call, we actually did say that we would love to be able to see it totaled. And where this is going to be good is for pricing. So let's say you've got, your one client, you can go to the end, it'll show you each month as to how many of the journal entries and deposits and bills and all of that, just in a nice little summary from the main dashboard. But you can see at the end so that you can pull that out and then be able to take a look and see, has their volume increased? Do you need to price them? What a better time when you're already in doing the year end if you can grab that information in a moment. So I do believe Hardik was going to go and see if they could make that happen. And
for me, it's really important in a niche at pricing. So I can look really quickly of, okay, approximately how many, so this person is priced at this, but hold on, their transactions, in fact, end up being this. So when I compare this to another client, similar, and like I said, I work in the niche, so I can look at this and I know complexity, what's happening. It really helps me for pricing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Counts on signed off transactions. This is great because let's say you work with a team and you want to go in through the year end and just quickly see what they've signed off on. Right up at the very top there's just a little number. And of course you can see all the signed off transactions, but it gives you the number. So it's absolutely perfect. So if it says 0, you don't need to spend the time clicking into it.
Especially important if you've had team members leave. You can take a quick look there and how many have they done? How many, okay, how much time do I actually have to go in and spend to re-review what they possibly signed off on and they shouldn't have?
Exactly. I mean, I try to go in, and I say try quarterly. That is the plan. That has not happened. Reality and plans don't always work out. But I try to go in quarterly and review that. But if not, again, this gives me, it's the flag so that I know when I'm doing the year end, I can go in and clean it up and take a look that way and look to see, do I need to coach back to the team? So that's your quality assurance. So that's a really key thing.
That also is a really great one to take a look at, what's being signed off that you can create a rule for, or how can you go and adjust your settings. So if you are signing off continuously the same thing, how do you go in and finesse, that search, that however, whatever it is, finesse it so it doesn't show up there? Because
exactly. create a
To
custom
me,
search.
to hire that number, that's not so good.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And drum roll, a
Ooh.
year-end review option. This is like the Staples easy button. You just push it. There you go. This does default. It's important to let you know it does default to the calendar year. However, you just simply have to change the date range. So if you want to go February to January, and that's great. And then you just hit run and that pulls you into a brand new. And again, this is launched today. Don't go looking yet. Wait, we're going to walk you through it. Just stay with us. But yeah, this was launched today and you can run through it and it's absolutely beautiful. Instead of having to go in and manually do this and then having, going, well, I've just done a check in the monthly review, it's closed off. No, whole different setup here, which is beautiful. Checklist, the old way. I never really got into the checklist part of it. I loved everything in speed mode, but the old way for checklist, for those who may have used it, and we've got Liz Alexander on the call too, who definitely does some representing for Autoreview as well. So I'm not sure if Liz, if you've ever gone in and used these, but you'd had to go into the three dots here and then go into the PL config and the balance sheet config, and then you could put the rules in there. It's not, in the checklist, it wasn't really in it, so it's easy to forget about. The new way, they're conveniently placed within the PL and the balance sheet and the report section down here on the bottom. And did you notice, if you look at the top where I've highlighted, they have the year-over-year comparison. So those who have used Autoreview know it's normally 1 month for every column for what we pull here. The year end brings us up. So you've got your year-over-year comparison. It's got your percentage of change. You can, again, move these columns around a little bit. And so this actually is very similar to your year-end working papers. You can add, so the little check box there, you bring up the checklist, and right beside there, there's a little comment. So as you're working through, you can put your comments on here. So just like anybody who's working in a year-end working papers, that is how this is set up to be. I just do want to note that currently the notes are not pulled out. If you pull an Excel from here, the notes don't pull out, but we added that to the wish list yesterday. So we'll see what happens. And so that's really exciting. And so when you go in, here's where you're going to add. When you click on the checklist, it just comes up right here, and you can add something from the template library. You can add something new, so that again, if you're training your team, you've got somebody who's a reviewer or a team member that you want to train. Here's certain things for each item. So this is attached to basically the account line in there, but you can add what things do you want them to look for. So if you want to put it in a checklist, any little notes, when it comes to the rent and the utilities, you're going to have a little note there. Yep, you want them to make sure that there's 12 different things like that, or something that you just want to remind yourself to look for year after year. Maybe it's just put a note there that if there's a large difference, just to make a note why for the accountant. So different things like that. So
you mentioned yesterday that we were going to be able to template our own personal checklists and carry it from file to file, or was that something we asked for? And you said it was on, I know you mentioned to us that there was a number of things that were going to come, that this is just the preliminary, but was that something where we can create or modify and then template it? You're muted.
yeah, I know we are going to have Hardik is going to be bringing up a roadmap later. He is going to go through the roadmap, and there's a new, easier way to connect, and he's going to show us that later too. But yeah, Hardik, was that just on the roadmap, or was that something that we had just asked for that you made note of?
Yeah, I just made a note of it yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
I know if I'm asking, other people are going to ask too.
Yeah, and while we're doing this, please go ahead. When we're done, I'm going to pull out the comments for here. So this is a perfect time to bring in, after you've seen all of this, put some things in there, some thoughts that you would like to see added, because this is how change happens. We've got to let them know, because if Hardik and the team haven't come across it, they might not realize. So they do definitely go by the feedback. And I'm going to tell you, this is one reason why I've been working with them so long and why I absolutely love them. They listen. You ask, I just said to yesterday to Sherry and Hardik when we were talking, Hardik is like the genie in the bottle. You just ask, you rub, and poof, there it is. Yeah, so that's great. And also we've got Jim Stevens who just said a thanks for doing notes. So Jim, it sounds like you're an accountant, and definitely if you're a bookkeeper and you're not doing this, this is going to save time of going back and forth to be able to make the notes on what the variances are, to be able to look at that. I didn't used to do that, but it was working closely with accountants and realizing what they were, what they're looking for, because it's going to increase your value with the accountant, because hey, if you're giving all of these notes and somebody else isn't, and that accountant needs to refer somebody, they're probably going to refer your way because they like the quality of the files and all of these little notes as well too.
They're going to ask you anyways.
Yep,
They're
absolutely.
going to ask you, so you're just helping them get that file completed quicker.
Well, and not to mention even internally, like, so Dan says if he leaves notes, a coworker can see them as well. And absolutely they can, which is really good when we have 3 different checks. I have the lead for the file goes through and does the first review. Then I have our year-end reviewer specialist. She goes through, does a little bit deeper dive, and then I go in and do a last final. So having those notes to know that they've already looked at that, they've already made note, and those notes are there are absolutely key. So that's great. So poll 2 of 4. What accounting platform, let me just launch it, do you primarily use with your clients? Oh, sorry, I was still sharing the last poll. I didn't realize I'd stopped sharing that. Sorry, guys. So here, we're launching the new poll. So the answers are QBO, QB Desktop, Xero, Sage Cloud, and Sage Desktop. Now, it's important to know that Autoreview does sync currently with QBO and Xero, but I thought this is really good to see the demographics of who's using what, because again, the team may say, okay, you know what, there's a lot of people that are using desktop that might like these. Oh, sorry, multiple choice. I'm very sorry, guys. If you're using multiple, thank you, Liz, for pointing that out. I thought I made this multiple choice, not single choice. Tech issue. So yeah, just go ahead and throw in the chat if there's anything else other than that you guys have clients that you're using with. And next time, thank you, Liz, that is going to be a multiple choice, not a single choice.
And I think a good one saying if you're 50% online, 50% desktop, if you're going to put that in there in the chat, just say this is what I'm using, or 50%, Sage Desktop, 50 QBO, or,
Absolutely.
It's a good way to find out.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're at 89% answered. So we're going to do a countdown. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're ending the poll and we're sharing the results. And I promise I will take the results off the screen. Yeah, so it's QBO is 85%, desktop is 10%, and Xero is 5%. No Sage Cloud and no Sage Desktop at this point. So that's great. Thank you. So we'll stop sharing that and we will move on. We're going to dig in right now. We're just going to dig in and start having some fun. So let me open this and we'll be able to walk through a little bit. Review here. So I'm going to cover a little bit and then we're going to actually switch to share screens so that we're only, flipping back and forth once. And then Hardik, at the end, we're going to show you the new sign in because all my files are connected already. So Hardik will be the one to show you that. We've got that set up and then the roadmap. So that will come after. But I just want to show real quickly in here. I just have to blur out my client names right now. Oh, and it blurred the whole thing. Well, that's not good. Sorry, I've got this blur app and I'm trying to do that and it didn't really work. So while I'm just pulling this back up, Sherry, what are you most excited about to see of all the new topics or out of the new things? What are you more excited to work with?
I think I really liked seeing the simplicity of how the year-end review is starting to pull things together instead of having to look at everything all over again. Yep. Sorry, did I just blow it?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think you're good. Sorry, and I'm just trying to blur out my client my client names while we do this. Okay. Okay, so now I've just done a screenshot. I'll pull this over here. So here's where you can see up here in the top. We're going to click on that. And this is what I meant to screenshot. Oops, wrong screen. Sorry, guys. So here we, oh, let me move this off. I've got to blur my client names. Okay. So here we've got this, and then again, we can collapse the columns. So that way we can just see each client, the journal entry and the expense. And here's where we've mentioned Hardick yesterday. And hopefully the engineers can do it is just at the end, because it's totaled per month. Per client, but just kind of see a full on total, which is going to help for the pricing. So, but that's what that looks like, the breakdown of that. So that's actually fairly cool. But again, that's on my dashboard.
About switching that to be a calendar year. And that is possible because you just showed February too. So that's just the default where it was pulling it in. But I believe Hardick said yesterday, we can adjust that to the calendar year. Correct.
Okay, so I'm signing into my sample file. We'll bring the sample file over so you guys can still see my screen, correct? The auto review screen now, perfect. Okay. Okay, so when we go in and we hit.
You're not in the year.
This. Oh. No, I'm not in the year. So let me change this. So we're going to go February to January, and right here, year end 2021. We can just hit run. It's got the full year. And when we start review, right here, we're starting the review process for that year. Yes, we're going to continue.
For clients that you only hit once a year. So like for us in Canada, our sole props that we just get something, we do a quick review at the end of the year, and especially for filing taxes, it's great. So you're not having to go in each month.
Absolutely. And this is where we talked about yesterday that I think this opens up, because I have heard in talks with people that they say, well, I only work on the file quarterly. Well, the good thing with auto reviews, if you only work on the file quarterly or only annually, you can add it on to the client for that 1 month. And when you disconnect that client, you're only charged for the time it's on. The one caveat to that you will need to be concerned about is that if you go in and set up a bunch of custom reports and they're a complex client, as soon as you disconnect the file and you go to reconnect it the next quarter or the next year, you will need to currently set those reports up again. I know that we have put in a request, but it's obviously a lot more complex to try to, set templated custom searches. That is on the wish list. I have no idea how far in, because I know it's a lot more complicated, but I know we've definitely mentioned that to Hardick. So that may or may not be coming. I don't know. Again, I know it's a lot more complicated, but that's just the current thing, that if you, again, use it for a quarterly file and only put it on and don't pay for the year, you can save yourself money, but you just have to weigh out, is the time going to be worth it? Because if it's a really complex file, you might have a ton of custom reports set up. But that said, every time there's an update, there's a custom report that I had set up that all of a sudden it's now in the basics and I don't have to worry about setting that up. So again, they're really interested in improving it. So
I was going to say, Dan's asked a question about managing the categories. I was going to say, before you finish this, as you're reviewing the sign off, can you show him the categories? If you look in the chat.
Yep. Let me look back here. Sorry, Dan.
Sorry, I'm just jumping in there because you're going to put those. And I think that's what it just flows in.
I don't see that for the categories.
The Q&A?
Oh, it's in the Q&A. Sorry. Here we are. Okay, we manage the categories. I can just do a web link. Doesn't need to be here. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yes. Sorry. I see it now. So yes, you can absolutely do that. And we will show you that in a moment as well, Dan, for sure. Okay. So sign off confirmation. This comes up. It pops up. It didn't used to pop up automatically before, and now it does. So this is something that you've got, that there's everything that's zeros. Do you want to pop it off? Absolutely. You can just say, yep, I'm going to pop this off because they're all zeros. It doesn't matter. And then you'll see here that there's just a bunch of zeros down there. Ooh, That's new because it didn't used to automatically sign off on the saved search views. Hardik, you kept this secret yesterday. See, all exciting stuff. Even I'm finding new stuff. So that's awesome. Now, when you go into Dan's question, let's say you don't use classes and locations, but you happen to have a QBO Plus or QBO Advanced file, and that comes up. What you do is you pop up into here and you simply click configure, and you can untick the classes, the location. So you can untick any reports of their main templated ones that you don't want to see. So that should absolutely answer that question for you, Dan. Perfect. So if you need any further clarification, just let us know, and that's awesome. But yeah, you can go in and you can do that. So you can get rid of those, which is absolutely perfect. I've got a bunch of webinars. Go to my YouTube channel at Bookkeepers Bootcamp on YouTube, and you can actually see some deep dive into how to, customize the columns and whatnot. We don't have time to get into that today, but it's the year end. So essentially, what you're going to go, and this is where I'm going to challenge myself to do. We don't have, again, not the time now to focus in on it, but on an actual file where I'm going to videotape and again, speed it up and send it out 12 months in 12 minutes. And you're basically just going to go through each of these. So again, if your file is set up, and again, these other videos have the setup that you can go in, you can filter, you can configure, you can pick, what you want included, what you don't want included. Although the AI that Autoreview uses is pretty good. And I don't normally like to say the words AI because I don't really believe there is AI. I believe there's automation, but there's a difference between automation and AI. They actually do have some true AI in here, and it is good at going in and picking out for any of these reports that they have there. I always go in and double check, but I find there's very few changes that I do have to make from the AI, which is absolutely awesome. So you're going to go through all of these. Again, there's a deep dive, a two-part deep dive, which goes through what all of these are for, your best practices. I do want to point out right here, your new suppliers, customers, and GL, because that's part of a year-end cleanup. So you can go in, you can see what's been added for the new accounts. Has there anything been added? Maybe you want to, combine these. Maybe, somebody added an office supplies and you already have office expense and you don't need that. So you can take a look at that. And then there's the duplicate names and duplicate entries. Of course, you want to make sure there's no duplication. You can do this. We actually go through this every single month. And when we go through it every single month, the file is super clean at year end. But again, I'm always double checking everything at year end. And here's our list. So a review of the supplier, customer, and GL list. This was huge for me when they came out with this because I used to have to, again, go through and figure, I don't know who we've used. And it took a couple of hours to go through and look and see when the last time some of these clients or customers or accounts were used. And we can see here, no entry found in the last 24 months. So I can tick them all off. So let's say I'm just going to do that. I just want to show you. I'm going to tick these off. And we're going to say, I have not looked at that. I got really excited and just ticked them all off and didn't pay attention that there's balances. I just want you to see some of the magic. I click up here to make an active. Yes, I want to make them an active. We'll give Autoreview a moment to do its magic, and it is going to come back. Oh, it didn't let me archive those because there's a non-zero balance. So it does have that backup feature built up. Now, up here, if I want to see what's been made inactive, I can do that, and I can easily turn around and make them active again. So this will push it forward into QBO. This is not just doing it in here. It will push those changes into QBO, which is key. Your account balance checks. You can again go in and take a look. If you want the cash on hand and clearing accounts to be zero at the year end, again, there's something wrong. I'm probably going to have to make notes for accountants or maybe go in and adjust things. Why are these different and why aren't they zeroing it at year end? Accounts with unusual balances. There's a conflict. A checking account, it's got a negative balance. We know a checking account should have a positive balance unless they've gone into overdraft. So here it's going to bring up this big flags of anything there's a conflict for, which is going to help you again. Take a look at this before it goes through to the accountant, and you can either fix it or make those notes to the accountant, because if it wasn't here with literally a red flag, you might not notice, and maybe the accountant would question it and you, oh, nope, they're in their overdraft, but I forgot to mention that's time that the accountant oops, that the accountant is now still having to look at it and, spend time to email you back, and you're having to email them back. And all of this extra work is definitely going to drive the cost up for the client. So you want to be able to watch for those things. And again, account violating threshold limits. You can set this up that, with conditions. Again, if the MasterCard is more than 2,000, I don't know if that's going to really help more so on the year end, but that's just a good general practice on some of these. Again, we're looking into the GL classifications and inconsistent amounts. So here, again, best practice is every single month, which is what we do. But year end, you're going to want to do a double check of here. Telephone. Oh, well, hang on. This is in telephone for Bell Mobilities this month. It's mobile phone expense in all these months. And then under utilities for these months. What's going on? It's not consistent. And this is something that unless the accountant or the accounting technician digs into this, they might not realize that if the amount is similar. We know that this is wrong because we deal with the details. We know it shouldn't be there. The accountant may catch it, they may not, again, depending on how deep they go in, but that's on us. That's our job to deal with those details and make sure it's clean before it goes to the accountant. Inconsistent amounts here. I don't have anything inconsistent on here and potential missing entries, but they're the same things. There's the flags that if there's a missing entry on rent, if there is an inconsistent amount, maybe 1 month was, you've got 600, 600, 600, 1200, 0, 600, 600, that's going to come up so that you can see, hey, maybe we didn't put this in properly. There's 2 in 1 month. We didn't do it by proper accrual accounting. This requires some attention before it goes through to the accountant, because that the accountant is going to be looking for.
Tanya, I want to point out when you're looking at that right now you have it in payee to be looking at it at payee, but you can be looking at it by GL. So if you have
Absolutely.
If you have looking at that phone expense, maybe there was a holdover of, they switched to a landline from, a cell phone or something like that. That way you can actually go in there. So where you were just showing phone,
Yep.
you can actually see the vendors underneath it.
Yep.
And this, I really like this feature, looking at it this way, because this is where I see these, like, right there, it says no payee name. So that I know somebody mucked up and they probably entered it from the bank feed when you're looking at utilities right now.
Absolutely.
So no payee name, and then the rest shows Bell Mobility. So it's like, oh, wait a second.
Yep. And then just to bring up, there is also an entries without name here as well, that will pull anything that is without name. So there's lots of double checks in here, and Autoreview makes us look brilliant. That's all I have to say. It just absolutely amazing, makes us look brilliant. You obviously can see why I love it now. And yeah, so you can do this. This does require, again, some setup. So I like to go in and configure. What do I not want to see? What don't I care about? Because if you've got a file with a lot of data, the first thing, it can just be a lot of visual overwhelming. So first thing you want to do is through each of these reports, which is in the deep dive that we go through, the 2-part deep dive, is what are we getting rid of? What don't we need to see? And what do we care about? So that's really important to mention at that.
So exactly where I mentioned before that you look at all the things that have been signed off on. So if they've signed off on bank fees with no name, okay, go in there and adjust this. That's exactly where you would, exclude from the no name, the bank, bank fees or whatever.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so then again, you can set up your custom reports. There's a lot of custom reports. We talk about those in the deep dive as well too. But again, it's what do you want? What are you looking for? You'll notice these are month to month. That's where we're looking at the detail, and that's what we're doing in these reports up top, is looking at the detail. Then we can pop in here to the P&L and the balance sheet. And because I've picked the year and I've done the year end, here's where we see this. You can again move this. If I want to see the change, excuse me, I can move that, and I want to see the change first so that I can see. So again, I can determine what's a material difference that the accountant might ask questions on. You can also go in and you can filter. So you can do, prior period, prior year, the year to date, the percentage, ascending, descending, cash accrual, your quarters, months, years. So again, you can really customize this as to how you're used to looking at it, which is great. So when you go in here, so Dan's asked about the notes, and yes, so that's in this section of it, the balance sheet and the profit and loss. So first off, here's where you tick it in. So for the checklist, so you can add from the library, and here's some ones that are already here. Again, prepaid expenses, that's something you want to look at. You can do that. You can add to this checklist. So you can add something to there, add a new one, just whichever. Oops. And I don't know why this doesn't want to type in. No, for some reason my keyboard doesn't want to work. So we'll just go ahead and we'll cancel that one. We can go back in. You can, again, mark these all as reviewed, all as single, or tick off when you're going through, and you'll see that, it's the green is reflective of how much of this list is checked off, which is what's usual and expected from the rest of everything. You can, again, take a quick pop at the general ledger in here. For that, again, this is based on that account, a GL snapshot, again, based on this account. So it's really cool with all of that stuff. And again, you can add your own comments into here. Here's where your comments are. You can start typing, and I don't know why.
So I just used this on one of mine where we had a vehicle written off in an accident, and we're waiting. So I've got it on the balance sheet waiting, make sure I document this for the year end, because we're waiting on the payout for year end. So it was exactly a perfect spot to put that.
And sorry, I had my app up, my Blur Web app that wasn't working properly. So that's why I couldn't type anything in. So that was a me thing. But yeah, so you can type your notes in here. When the team member goes in, your team member is going to be able to look at that and pop in and look and maybe add their own notes. So again, this is really good for communicating back and forth. Again, currently this stays in this file. So if you are exporting something to send to the accountant, it currently does not export on the Excel list. But again, that's been added to the wish list. So again, as you guys are seeing this, pop into the chat your wish list, because again, that's really important. This is where it all comes from. So again, you can do this. We pop over to the balance sheet. It's the exact same thing on the balance sheet. You're now looking at the year over year, and here is to do your checklist. So I want to add a new checklist, whatever, there's notes for the team. And I want to add a note on here. So again, start typing my notes in here. So again, really, really easy to use. And then of course, you want to take a look at your AP aging. Currently, we can't put any notes on here, but you can definitely export into Excel, because I do know that I like to put notes for the accountants, so that way they know exactly what they're looking for. Potentially maybe that this payment here, client doesn't want to write anything off. This may be going to an allowance for doubtful account, doesn't want to be written off yet. And maybe this, half the payment was received right after the year end. So there's different things like that for the AP and the AR agings. So was there anything, Sherry, that you wanted to kind of touch base before we let Hardik take over to show what the new sign up looks like and how quickly and easy it is to get directly into the year end in the roadmap?
I would like to see, and I don't know, I mean, on the path going forward would be more review on multi-currency. So multi-currency is a big one for us in Canada, right? And just looking at creating those custom reviews that can be saved to the year end on, have we run the checklist, have we run with QuickBooks or whatever, and restated, but as well, what else is there for multi-currency that we want to see, right? Like flagging those multi-currency accounts, just making sure, checking the you're just
sorry
all over here.
I'm trying to get this out of here. That's just go away.
Well, we can see your screen.
I know. I thought I had everything closed down.
But just being able to put some custom reports, that are specific to year end, and especially Hardik, like with the multi-currency, like, do we have gain on loss? Do we have, just double checking these that are specific?
Yep. Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. That's perfect. So excuse me. So here is just a quick basic. I'm not going to go through this, but this is for you guys. Again, you can take your screenshots of this. This is going to come out to you, to everybody who registered. This is going to come out, but here's some of the basic year-end checklists that we've got. And then, so there's 2 pages of that. So I'll just pause here for a moment. And again, these are best practices, which include the tips that Sherry and I gave today as well. And so just a quick summary is, and then again, we'll switch over to Hardik sharing the screen, is using Autoreview monthly or quarterly is going to reduce the amount of time that you spend on the year end, because you don't have to reset up all of those checklists and it's already there. And it can make, if you think 12 months and 12 minutes can go quick, just wait and see how quickly it can go when you're already working on it regularly. Autoreview can accommodate quarterly or year-end clients, again, without having to pay year-round when you're only working on the books quarterly or annually. Again, that note, each time you disconnect and reconnect a file, you're going to lose those custom searches. So you're just going to want to take that into account. Clean out your list of unused clients, customers, suppliers, chart of accounts. Easily change from calendar to fiscal year for the year-end review. Keep year-end quarter reviews separate from monthly reviews. So if you're adding extra customs, you can just put that you want people to ignore for the rest of the year. You can just put like year-end. So let's say you want to put one to look at all the charities or all the fixed assets added in that year. You know, if you just want to keep that to just year-end only, I would just put year-end at the beginning of the name of it. So that way they know to skip over those for the rest of the year and only look at it at year end. So there's a nice, easy way to that. And again, review all the items signed off within the year for quality assurance. So while we do this, I'm going to stop sharing. Hardik can start sharing to go through that stuff. We're just going to launch the 3rd poll, which will go quickly into the 4th poll right afterwards. But let's get poll number 3 launched. I am stopping sharing. So Hardik, you can take over. And poll number 3 is, did you learn anything new today? So that should be launched. So we'll just let people answer. And Hardik, show us the magic.
Well, not a lot of requests. I think everybody's maybe so impressed for year-end features. You just wait, they'll start working in it and they'll be asking.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
So we made a couple of changes. So for the new users who are signing up, so we basically try to shorten the form. So we wanted to let them get in as soon as possible, right? So we kind of smartly handle some of the questions. So now when they're signing up, they're kind of few information they need to answer, and then they just can directly get in. Once they sign up, they will be directly asking to add the client. And this one thing that we also made change here is that all the existing users would know that whenever they are adding a client, there are 4 or 5 questions that we used to ask. So now we eliminated those questions because we wanted users to directly jump on all those findings real quick, and they can worry about those questions afterwards, right? So let's say when I add any particular client, and when I hit next, just gonna take a few seconds to add the client. Oops, already exist.
That's okay. While you're doing that, I'm just going to launch the final poll. And this is the one that I would really love everybody to go ahead and answer. Will you be adding Autoreview to more of your client files to use, or signing up if you're not already signed up? I just love to see how well we did. Okay, so we've got 81 have answered, or 84%. So this is good. Okay, so we'll do a countdown. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We will end that poll. 72% said yes, and 28% are still thinking about it. That's okay. If you're still thinking about it, come back to the next one.
Yep. No problem. So yeah, the point I was making is that, okay, so you got the poll result.
Yep, we got the poll results. Perfect. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
And look at
So,
that. That was an easy sign up. You're right in now.
so basically what's going to happen here, Tanya, is that we actually eliminated those questions and you can actually deal with them afterwards, right? So we wanted to get the quick entry to the speed mode where you can find all the issues. That's one of the things that we changed. And this one I actually forgot to tell you today was, see, until now you had to export each of those points individually, right? But we added this one also here, like you can get all of those speed mode reports in one go. In one click you can like get all of those reports in one single file. So that just in case if you need to share this with your staff or someone, you can easily do that. So you don't need to do, or you don't need to export those individual reports individually. So
I really like that you've got on here the sign off all the zeros and just the quick way so that it's not overwhelming.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely.
And what
this.
is finalized history? Wait a second, was that something new or have I just not paid
No,
No,
attention?
that's
it
been
was.
there.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that's not new. Yeah,
No.
it was there. So,
I just don't pay
and
attention to that.
yeah, and with year end, we plan to make some changes over the next few weeks. One is that we plan to introduce a checklist, a separate category altogether on a speed mode, so that you can have your all custom checkpoints checklist into that. And then second thing is that we also plan to expand the comments part where you can start tagging people, right? See, right now it's a flat text that you can type in, but we want you guys to be able to assign it to users as well. Then
Awesome.
the third thing is that be able to attach sort of link or sort of attachment, right? So let's say when you are on profit and loss or trial balance or balance sheet, and if you wanted to attach kind of working, let's say Google Sheet link, or let's say you wanted to upload a Excel sheet, let's say prepared schedule, right? We want you guys to be able to do that as well. And eventually the goal is to kind of create a sort of package, like it just comes out as a one package that has all the relevant reports for the year end. So you don't need to compile individual reports for that. It just comes out as one package. And this
Awesome.
is a probably later this year where we wanted to separate out the whole monthly and annual review process altogether. So it's like you have your own sets of checkpoints for monthly, and you can have different checkpoints for even yearly as well. So it's like a custom, and you could also create the quarterly review. So that's another thing that we plan to, but this not in near future, but that's later this year. So
Awesome. No, that's great. So Dan just asked, and I've just typed the answer, but if you tag people, how are they notified? So currently you can't tag people. Currently you use the flags and that person will need to sign in and look at the report to actually see the flag. So yeah, that looks like it's going to be definitely over from there. So I'm just going to quickly go back. I do apologize for anybody who we are a few minutes over, and I'm very, very sorry, but lots of information to do there. And we're just going to wrap this up here. And what we have, so Zenit is, one for all, or all for one for all, which is great. Here's all the products that they're working on. Again, the flagship is Zenit Autoreview. Port, is that still in beta or is that officially launched now, Hardik?
no, it's officially launched now.
That's officially launched now.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Port is, if you're going in and you need to reclassify a bunch of transactions, that's in there. So it's very similar to, a business importer, a Sassant, Excel Transaction Pro. I like it better just because it's already in there. And then Zenit Hub is something that, again, Zenit Hub is not launched. That's just still coming. Is that right?
Yeah, that's in June.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, June. Wow. That's awesome. Okay. So pricing, no annual commitment, no minimum commitment. Minimum is one client. Your own practice file is completely free. No cost per user, which I like. You've got unlimited users. I'd never add a client into here, but for the team, which is great, and no charge by the features. So there's the pricing for US and Canada. We didn't get a chance to ask this yesterday, so I'm hoping this promo code still applies to today's webinar. Does it? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, so Tanya 20 for new signups of the promo code and 20% off the first 3 months. I think it is. Hardik, is it 20% off for the first 3 months?
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Great. So there's that. And then just the cost versus benefit
So,
analysis.
Tanya, I mean, people
Yeah.
saying that, yeah, even I can see the screen is different on your computer. We
Oh,
see basic here and checklist.
oh, sorry, guys. Here we are. Again, I've got 3 screens. I showed the wrong screen. So here we are. Okay. So here's this again, the pricing Tanya 20 in caps. So there's the pricing $750 per month per client file for US, $850 for Canada. And then here's the cost versus benefit analysis. So it's essentially 90 USD per client for the whole year. Even if you only do them manually, it's $90. Add it into the cost, charge that right back to the client. That way you only have to set it up once. Again, take a look at the time. You do have your option, but setting everything up, again, in complex files, still might be worth that, but you get increased scalability. The staff follows the first time right concept. I use it to train the staff. All of that's in the deep dive and anything else as well. Saves your time by 60 to 70%, expedites the month end, quarter end, year end review processes, and then you can put more focus on the growth of your business and value added services. Okay, I've already launched this poll, which is great. And most people said yes. So that's great. I shared the results. And thank you. I am happy to stay on if there's any other questions that we didn't answer. If there's anything, reach out to me, reach out to the team at Zenit Autoreview. They're absolutely great and amazing. Once you sign up, I saw that you guys now have the new Slack channel that people can interact with you on. And just know that, again, these guys really, really, really listen. So add things to the wish list and send it off to them. Was there anything else you wanted to add here, Hardik or Sherry?
No, I think you covered it pretty well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you don't give a chance for anybody to say anything.
There is just so much. I could literally talk for hours on this, on everything in Autoreview. So thank you very much for coming. Again, the recording of the CPD, I'll have that out within 48 hours. If there's any questions, reach out. Again, the Hardik and the Autoreview team are absolutely amazing. They listen, give them their wish list, reach out, to me. I'm happy to help with anybody, anytime. I just love Autoreview. So that's great. So thank you again. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.